Well, it looks like the team has won and so have you guys. I recommended possibly ending this series today with a big episode and then waiting out the days until 2K20, but the poll results largely resulted, specifically 91%, in favor of you wanting this to continue on until 2K20 drops, so here we are. Not to say that I didn't want to continue this on myself, but now I just gotta try some weird stuff such as packing the whole offseason into a video like I'm about to do, just to keep things rolling. Just for the record, once 2K20 drops, no way do I plan on rushing through a whole series and, well, winning a championship in the first season with a team. In fairness, of course I didn't expect us to be able to win a whole ring with the Knicks in Season 1, but the team is actually pretty good from the get-go, so it only took 2 trades, 7 internal adjustments, and a weak Eastern Conference to do so. I'm going to have an official poll sooner to the release of 2K20 on what my next team should be, but for now, you can throw any recommendations in the comments. Now back to the task at hand. Reggie Bullock has been brought back onto the roster after we had that glitch and had to assign him to Cleveland. I brought him back before free agency too, so we didn't have to screw up their plan of attack, the Cleveland's plan of attack that is. And when we're going to go into the NBA draft where we have the 30th pick as a result of being reigning champions. I had a choice of a few different solid guys available and ended up going with center Vernon Carey out of Duke, because we're pretty stacked up with multiple young pieces at every position, except for the big man slots, where Taj Gibson isn't really getting any younger, Luke Kornet is a great 3-point shooter but not really too great at anything else, and Mitchell Robinson showed that he's kinda injury prone. He didn't miss any games for the majority of the season, but then missed the last few weeks of the season, and played or got injured in almost every round of the playoffs. So it definitely provides some more insurance there, and he's not just some scrub either at pick 30. Carey also now leads the team in the strength attribute. Yes, he beat out Julius Randle by 1 point with an 88, and he has solid potential. So we basically pulled the Warriors by winning a ring and then drafting our Kevon Looney that we'll probably need a lot sometime down the line. On top of that, we did have a second round draft pick and spent it on a draft and stash guy who won't take a roster spot up this year, which is good. Not really too much promise according to his potential attribute, which is a 75, but it is the end of the second round, so what much more can you expect? So now as we go close to the free agency and start looking at our team options, we only have a couple to decide on, but they're actually pretty important. Of course, we're going to accept the Dennis and Frank options considering the roles that they had played in their playoff run and their young age, but while I'm actually going to decline both the options for Taj Gibson and Elfrid Payton. Hopefully those words didn't scare the Taj Gibson fan club too much though, because of course we're going to re-sign him to a 2-year deal that guarantees him an extra $1.5 million and secures him for an extra year in the league at 35 years old. The guy was just so important for us in the whole last season and finals run. I had to hook him up even though he may be like a 70 or low 60, high 60 overall by the time that ends. On the flip side though, yeah, I think it's easy for you to assume that Elfrid Payton is gone. He didn't really do much for us in his opportunities this season. Frank Ntilikina came to the lineup and basically proved just to be a better, taller, and more versatile Elfrid Payton. Well, we have one last free agent decision left to go, and that's Damian Dotson. He's the only guy that didn't have a team option, and well, in all honesty, I could have got away with letting Dotson walk and maybe opting for a minimum deal on a veteran doing something else with a rotation, such as probably reducing it to a 10-man throughout the season, which is what I did during the finals anyways, but we haven't had the best luck with our star players' durability, so it's always good to hold on to a consistent 3-point shooter who is solid at defense. With that being said, there's actually one other pretty important player I wanted to look at for a potential rotational spot, as well as what we consider an honorable mention. Chuma Okeke, the guy that we acquired from the Magic in the Terrence Ross deal that we also gave up our first round pick next year for, he had a pretty solid overall jump to a 76 throughout the offseason. Looking at his current state, he's basically a small forward Ntilikina. He's got a decent 3-ball with the second best perimeter defensive stats after Frank. I'm going to stick with the bench of Dennis, Ross, Knox, Taj, Dotson, and Kornet for the time being, but I'll just say watch out for Chuma because he could definitely slide in there eventually. And the honorable mention that I hinted at is Ignas Brazdeikis. Just to keep it blunt, he's not really that good at anything just yet, but I don't think I've mentioned him once a series, and now he's a decent 74 overall, so there you go. He's still 100% behind Chuma, Knox, and Rudy Gay at the small forward slot, but I just had to mention him because, well, he's got some pretty solid hype in real life, but he's not really that great in the game. And the last two things I had to mention was that our new rookie Vernon Carey was actually really dominant in the Summer League. When you play Summer League in 2K, you play against a pretty solid competition too. He had a game against the Grizzlies who had Jaren Jackson Jr. And they also tried to make us play Kevin Knox, Mitchell Robinson, and RJ Barrett, which would basically be like a death sentence for them considering they just led us to a championship like 2 weeks before this. And lastly, just for training camps, instead of just cheesing with the untapped potential camp that some of you may know, I threw all 3 of Dennis Smith Jr., Frank Ntilikina, and Mitchell Robinson in shooting camp. It'll be beneficial to all of them, but most beneficial to Mitchell Robinson since his mid-range is actually starting to get up there in the low 70s, so expect to see some of that action with that this year. And that's all I've got for this one. I'm out. Cut.